thesis statement is that healing dissociative age regression or age regression experienced in unique order of neural wiring requires the gradual process of completing stages of early neurodevelopment. Just as children are beautiful, perfect, divine, precious miracles, child states of consciousness are absolutely beautiful and precious and perfect in every way. The same way that we don't try to rush children to grow up, we should never rush child states of consciousness to grow up. We are always allowed to create space for kiddos to be kiddos, whether that's a child in a child's body or a child in an adult's body. It's the exact same styles of neural wiring requiring the same level of love and care and gradual neurodevelopment. The healing intention in this process is to help child states of consciousness expand their abilities to experience a greater fullness of who they really are and experience more wonders of the world around them. By compassionately creating space for child states of consciousness to be exactly who they are and lovingly encouraging gradual neurodevelopment, we can nurture them into their full potential. The pyramid of learning is an excellent resource for this process of healing chronic age regression. Regularly engaging in activities that specifically address these different needs within the pyramid of learning, starting from the baseline of the central nervous system and gradually working up into all these different unconscious abilities, can really help provide healing relief and loving empowerment for these aspects of miraculous self-essence. When creating healing modalities for age regression, you can look at different styles of brain-body therapies or activities that directly address these elements within the pyramid of learning. For example, if you focus on activities that specifically address awareness of two sides of the body, or specifically brain-body activities that specifically address visual spatial perception, or activities that very specifically address hand-eye coordination. When you use activities that are specifically directed towards these distinct elements and you encourage regular engagement with these activities during dissociative age regressive experiences of consciousness, then you're effectively healing the underlying neurobiological core causalities of the experiences. And tackling healing from this angle is going to produce far greater healing benefits than any traditional therapeutic endeavor. For example, physical therapy exercises that are designed to increase connectivity between brain hemispheres is one of the most important healing endeavors that can ever be embarked upon to help transform and empower age regressive experiences. Then these age regressive states of consciousness are going to have greater brain-body access so they can thrive more. Because that's the goal. We want to help these states of consciousness thrive. It's the miracles that they are. And helping increase brain hemispheric balance and activity is one of many ways to empower these states of consciousness. Age regression affects 100% of brain-body activity, including parietal engagement, temporal lobe engagement, how the brainstem is operating and connecting mind-body activity, how nervous systems are regulating. It affects body awareness and how the body knows how to walk and move within orientation and time and space. It affects 100% of brain-body activity, and it's really important to look at the neuroscience to understand and provide healing empowerment for these unique experiences. An extraordinarily important, paramount aspect of healing chronic age regression is uncoupling traumatic stress responses from dissociative age regressive states. The age regression is not the same thing as a trauma response. While this unique neurodevelopment may have been activated from a traumatic stress response, the age regressive state is completely different, separate, and distinct from traumatic stress responses. And this is really, really, really important because working with age regression is very different from working with a traumatic stress response. They're two completely different elements of neurobiological wiring, separate components of the experience requiring completely different styles of responses and interactions to ignite internal healing. Once these two elements of experience are distinguished from each other and the traumatic stress response starts to be diminished through certain styles of healing, then the age regressive state of consciousness or child part of consciousness can freely explore their neurodevelopment as a trauma-free child. And this is where the neurodevelopment can have an opportunity to continue expanding and healing so these age regressive states can grow into the fullness of their true potential. But that can't effectively happen as long as this region of neural wiring is being impacted by these stress responses. So uncoupling them and helping heal the stress response, or at least decrease it, can help free this element of neurobiological wiring, and then these parts of consciousness can freely explore themselves in life and continue healing and growing at a very natural pace in their own natural way. But it's important to understand the distinction between age regression and trauma responses because they are not the same thing. And associating them with each other or mistaking them for one another can create some severe harm along the healing journey. So it's very important to understand what these actually are and how they're different and how they can interplay with one another, because they can both be activated at the same time. There might be activation of age regression and activation of a trauma response, but it's important to distinguish them. The trauma response is coming from nervous system regulation affiliated with implicit neurowiring from past moments of unfulfilled attachment needs. Age regression is certain styles of brain-body activity, including amplified right brain engagement, affiliated with neural wiring gathered during early childhood. They're very different things, and they contribute to experience in different ways. So uncoupling them and helping decrease the stress response so the age regressive state of consciousness can freely explore their neurodevelopment as a trauma-free child is very important along this healing journey. The absolute most important element of healing chronic age regression is to finish repairing the disrupted attachment development. This affects neural wiring carrying all types of memories and neural wiring carrying all types of integrative patterns and regulatory protocols. So you really kind of get to the baseline of all the different brain body stuff when you work directly with attachment systems. What I'm about to share with you can actually be applied during any type of healing journey that focuses on inner child liberation or attachment healing. So what I'm about to share with you isn't just for liberating age regressive states of consciousness into the great expanse of all that they can truly be. It can really focus on that, but really what I'm about to share with you can be applied to help heal internal attachments and heal the inner child, because we all have an inner child. Every human being on the planet has the neurobiological applications of consciousness of an inner child. And that's kind of a complex topic of its own, so I won't dive into it right here. But what I'm about to share with you can be applied to heal attachment systems and liberate any kind of inner child, not just age regressive states of consciousness. So at the core of the neurobiological social engagement system, that very first role to start developing that impacts how all the other roles develop is parent-child bonding, especially from the perspective of the child. And then all these other different roles kind of develop on top of that or after that. And so the implicit neural wiring of parent-child bonding right here at the foundation of the neurobiological social engagement system associated with attachment development that affects how experiential elements are processed into memories and create different types of regulatory protocols and integrated patterns of the brain-body system, that's kind of like the root baseline of all this. So when you get down to that core and work directly with the attachment development affiliated with that role, you really cut to the neurobiological core and the foundation of where these experiences are coming from, and you can create some profoundly empowering healing, like profoundly empowering healing. You're not just like, oh, I gotta like change this unique thing about me. No. You're not trying to change anything about who you are. You're already perfect. Like, like let's just get to the chase here. You're a perfect human being. You're beautiful and amazing and miraculous and incredible exactly as you are. Healing is not about changing who you are. You never need to change anything about yourself. Healing is just about becoming more of who you truly are. That's what the healing journey is about. So when we get down to the core of healing chronic age regression, the goal is to repair the disrupted attachment development so that all parts of self-essence can be free to be themselves. That's really the goal here. That's really the goal here. So all parts of the self-essence, all aspects of consciousness flowing through the brain-body system can be liberated into the fullness of all they truly are. So it comes down to attachment development, okay? So getting down to the core of healing this and igniting this profound empowerment, the best way, the most important aspect is to heal the disrupted attachment development. And the goal of this here is to have the present day adult self connect with the inner child and reestablish parent-child bonding within the self. Present day adult self connects with the childhood self, or the inner child, or child parts of consciousness, or however you'd like to describe it. And they play this role of extending love and receiving love. It's all happening in the same being, okay? But it's two distinct roles that are going on. Parent-child bonding from the perspective of the caregiver, where the adult self is extending love inward. And then parent-child bonding from the perspective of the child, where love is being received from the adult self by these child parts of consciousness. But it's all happening in the same brain-body system, but between different aspects of consciousness who are experiencing different regions of neural wiring. Okay? It's repairing attachment development by the adult self connecting with the inner child or child states of consciousness or age-regressive parts of consciousness, or however you want to describe it, extending love and receiving love. And it's all about subconscious language, which is not the same as conscious language. This is conscious language. Right here, this is conscious language. Words with a meaning and conveying things and using my body in kind of a casual manner. This is explicit conscious language. Subconscious language has to do with how the unconscious body-mind communicates. And so, for example, when you shift the way that the eyes are moving and engaging, when you shift the way the eyebrows are moving and engaging, when you shift the way the body is engaging and you lean in because you want to be closer, when you take time to emotionally connect, when you take time to shift the way that the voice is creating vibrations to be more calming and more soothing and more compassionate and more playful and more gentle and more loving and more endearing, That's an example of subconscious language. That's an example of the type of communication that really directly impacts attachment well-being. And so taking time to connect through that style of energetic engagement from the adult self to the child self is how things start to shift very profoundly. So for example, you might do a mirror meditation, okay? And you're looking in the mirror. Pull this as an example, okay? All right, so looking in the mirror. And if I'm just like, hey, what's up? How are you? You cool? Okay, that's good. Bye. There's no connection happening there. There's no connection happening in that moment. There's nothing going on. But if instead I'm like, hey, you. And in this moment, I'm looking directly into the colored portion of my eyes. Okay, it's not just like, oh man, I'm noticing that zit on my face. It's so hideous. Why is it there? I should probably pop it and get rid of this really ugly thing on my face. You know, it has to be very specific. You're focusing on connecting with your inner experiencer, not your body. Your body's just a tool. You're connecting with your inner experiencer in this moment. So you want to look at the colored part of your eyes and connect with the consciousness inside of you and flowing through your body. And so, hey, you. How's it going in there? Is everything going okay? I just wanted to take a little moment and check in. Because you matter. And you matter deeply. So during a mirror meditation, for example, you can really take time to connect. And there's a few different things that happen. But the goal is to use subconscious language to help fulfill attachment needs. Using subconscious language, using different styles of bodily features, facial expressions, and vocal tones to specifically meet attachment needs. A felt sense of being seen, loved, treasured, appreciated, and celebrated. A felt sense of safety, security, protection, and provision. A felt sense of support, connection, vulnerable closeness, and collaborative community. A felt sense of respect, recognition, embrace, allowance, and opportunistic space and directional guidance. The goal is to meet specific attachment needs through application of subconscious language while connecting from the present day adult self to the inner child, or child parts of consciousness, or age regressive states of consciousness. This is the core of healing that disrupted attachment development that resides at the baseline of any type of chronic age regression. It could be an independent state of consciousness where a child fully manifests in physical form, or it could be something a little less intensive than that. It could be a child part of consciousness who is not their own separate person, but they're a separate aspect of self-essence. They don't experience the body entirely independently from the adult self, but they're still their own distinct energetic essence to some degree. It really ranges along a spectrum within unique order of neural wiring of the social engagement system. But with any type of age regression, anywhere along the spectrum, the core is healing disrupted attachment development. It's all about meeting these specific attachment needs through application of subconscious language as the adult self connects with child parts of consciousness. With that intention clearly established, there's an infinite myriad of ways that this can unfold. Mirror meditation is just one of them. But with that application, one of the most effective, playful things that I found along this healing journey was something that I called the peekaboo meditation. And what you do is you play peekaboo in a mirror. It works directly with object impermanence, self-recognition, and other elements of neurobiological age regression. So with child states of consciousness, there's this object impermanence thing. Okay, so when there's a young baby, an infant, or a toddler, object impermanence means that when something's not directly in front of them, they do not know that it exists at all. Because the neural wiring providing that information hasn't been sculpted yet. And so object impermanence can be activated during age-regressive states of consciousness. And during those moments, if something's not directly within the immediate reality, neural wiring cannot express to that part of consciousness that that thing exists. So as soon as something's no longer in front of you, you don't know that it has a potential to exist at all. So for example, if you have a friend and you're hanging out with a friend and then the friend leaves, the body might experience severe anxiety because there isn't an understanding that that person still exists, even though they're not there right now. Neural wiring can't give you that information. Another example is if you have like a stuffed animal or something. The reason a baby's gonna cry if you don't give them their stuffed animal is because they think it doesn't exist anymore, and that's scary to them. It's just one of potential examples. But one of the potential examples of what could happen is if a child is crying because they want their stuffed animal, it's because their unconscious body-mind is terrified that that thing doesn't exist anymore. And there was an emotional connection with it, and that attachment is now just in jeopardy. And it's very physically terrifying to the unconscious body-mind. Object impermanence is a profound element of experiencing chronic age regression. So, when an age-regressive state of consciousness is engaging, if something isn't right in the immediacy of reality, there's not an instinctive ability to understand that that thing exists. And that can feel very terrifying. This comes into play in a super uniquely miraculous way, because what happens when there's object impermanence with your own sense of self and your own physical body? What happens when object impermanence affects your sense of identity and your own physical existence? Then the moment that you're not seeing yourself, you don't know that you actually exist. Based on how neural wiring is providing automated interpretations of reality. It's completely unconscious. It's not like parts of self-essence are up here like, oh my God, I don't exist clearly. No. It's because of how neural wiring is navigating self and life based on how this neural data has developed. And so if there's all of this dissociation, then there's all this undercoupled memory data because of moments of unfulfilled attachment needs. And that undercoupled data is what's navigating identity and experience. And there's not enough connections to affiliate all these different elements of self and life. So the moment that you stop looking at yourself, you suddenly don't know that you actually exist, because the neural wiring attempting to provide that information doesn't have enough connections to tell you that information unconsciously. So object impermanence can affect your sense of identity and the conceptualization of your inner self with the outer reality of your physical body. Creates very, very indescribably unique and dissociative experiences. So this is one of many things that can happen during dissociative age regression, is object impermanence then affects your sense of self, your own connection with your being. Because what's happening is neural wiring navigating your sense of identity, which is your internal conceptualization of yourself and your external conceptualization of yourself. So different thoughts and feelings and sensations about who you think you are, and then how that connects with the physical body of how your identity navigates the outer world. Okay, all the information creating your sense of identity is then coming from neural wiring from early childhood. So even if your body is in your mid-20s, how the sense of identity is being automatically experienced might be coming from age 5. And then automated interpretations of reality think that your body is 5 years old. And then it can be very awkward to try to navigate a body that's 25 and not 5. But the neural wiring creating these automated interpretations of reality thinks that you're 5 years old. And so when you look in a mirror and then you suddenly see that there's a 25-year-old body in front of you instead of a 5-year-old body in front of you, it challenges the neural wiring. And consistently challenging it with love can ignite transformation, so this can make new connections and start to heal. So the peekaboo meditation works directly with this neurobiological component of chronic dissociative age regression. You play it in a mirror and you pop out into different sides of the mirror and you play peekaboo. Now, coming out from different sides of the mirror is really important because when you are here, okay, so let's say we've got a mirror that's here, okay? If I'm over here and I come from the right to the left to the mirror, that stimulates a different part of my brain than if I come from the left to the right of the mirror. So the side that you're coming in from and the way that the direction of stimulus is engaging neurobiological applications of consciousness shifts. And so when you come from one side to the mirror and you play peekaboo, and then you come from the other side of the mirror and you play peekaboo, you're connecting different regions of the brain. And when you keep activating different regions of the brain one after the other, then new connections are gradually being made. So, let's say, for example, I'm over here, and I go peekaboo, and then I'm over here, and I go peekaboo, and over here, and I go peekaboo, and then over here, and I go peekaboo. Chronically doing that is activating different regions of the brain, and when you continue activating different regions of the brain, then new connections are gradually formulating. And the peekaboo aspect is really important because you're engaging in a state of play, which helps connect with these child states of consciousness. You're kind of breaking through the barriers of any protector parts that may be creating blockages between the adult self and the inner child, which is just a chronic occurrence in this unique order of neural wiring. There's all these different parts of self-essence designed to support the self. And with this unique order of neural wiring, the best way to support the self is to keep the inner child and the adult separate, because the adult self needs to engage in the present day while the inner child is connected with this disrupted attachment development. And they can't coexist, because if disrupted attachment development is impacting everyday life, then it's going to be hard to function as an adult. And so all these different neurobiological applications of consciousness designed to support self-essence, and they do that by creating blockages between the adult self and the inner child, because that seems like the best way to navigate life. According to neural wiring, consciousness is not choosing that. Self-essence is not choosing that. Parts of consciousness are experiencing automated projections from neural wiring. The neurobiological wiring believes that that's the best way to navigate life unconsciously. So it's not the self, and it's not conscious. It's neural wiring, and it's unconscious. And so engaging in a state of play helps break through some of those neurobiological blockages to create healing where it might otherwise kind of be hindered unconsciously. So when you engage in this state of playfulness, you're really connecting with these aspects of self to create the healing that's really needed. Okay, so peekaboo is a nice way to engage child states of consciousness in a safe and healing manner. The other important element of this is that you're playing peekaboo in a mirror, because when you're suddenly popping out and you're seeing yourself, and then you're popping out, you're not seeing yourself, popping back in and you see yourself again, then the way that the object impermanence is working within this neural wiring is that it's creating new associations with the sense of self who is physically existing in relation with this neural wiring that's contributing to the chronic age regression. So there's this neural wiring contributing to chronic age regression. It's neural wiring from many, many years ago, from different stages of early neurodevelopment. And then you have who you are today as a physical adult. And when you activate this neural wiring and create new associations with the physical body that exists now, you're creating new neural connections that can help relieve some of the anxiety caused by these unique dissociative experiences, because you're engaging the power of consciousness to directly work with the underlying neurobiological causalities creating these unique experiences. And then all aspects of consciousness can start to experience greater connection while the brain-body system starts to heal so that it can energetically flow and operate much more effectively. So peekaboo mirror meditations really work with the neurobiological structures of age regression and parts of consciousness to unite the adult self and the inner child while healing the brain-body aspects that are contributing to unique experiences that may provoke some health challenges like chronic anxiety or difficulties functioning in everyday life. And again, the goal here is to work directly with attachment development, applying subconscious language to work with specific attachment needs. So when you keep that in mind with the peekaboo mirror meditation, you are doing so many miracles in the healing journey. And once you get that down, you do it every day. And if you do a peekaboo mirror meditation 3 times a day, every day for a few months, you're going to do more healing good for these age regressive states of consciousness than any amount of therapy is ever going to do. Because talking about stuff does not heal the underlying causalities of these unique experiences. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. It's all about using the power of consciousness to work directly with the underlying neurobiological activity, which means understanding what's happening here during every unique experience, figuring out where the power of consciousness lies, and then applying that power to transform this, in summary. Another extraordinarily powerful practice that radically changed my life is something that I call implicit song rewrite. What you do is you take a melody from a song that was known a long time ago, and you use the melody and the rhythm of that with new words. And then you sing that to yourself from the adult self to the child self, repairing attachment development, applying subconscious language, different facial expressions, vocal tones, and body cues. But in this process, by taking a song that was known a long time ago, using the baseline of that song, you're activating neural wiring that's connecting with these child states of consciousness. So maybe you pick a song from preschool or from elementary school or from middle school or some time period that this state of consciousness has specific neural access to. So if it's a state of consciousness that experiences life between ages 2 and 6, then you want to pick a song that was known during that time period of your life. If you're experiencing a state of consciousness between ages 10 and 15, then you want to pick a song that was known during that time period of your life. Once you pick a song, using the melody and the rhythm activates that whole region of neural wiring. So memories are all about abstract association. So once you activate that melody, then other associations gathered during that time period that have any kind of connection with that are going to simultaneously be activated. So you're working directly with the neural wiring affiliated with this dissociative age regressive state of consciousness. Then by adding new words, you're inserting your conscious power and the authority you have as a present-day adult self. And in doing that, you're connecting these two worlds of separate neural wiring, and you're creating new connections to sculpt attachment well-being so that these aspects of self-essence can have more connection because of the opportunity to expand neural connectivity. So you pick a song that was known from a long time ago, you use the melody of it, but you change the words. And then here's where you can get really playful and lovingly creative. You can use words that address attachment needs. So maybe you take a song and you have the melody and the rhythm or the way that you're using vocal vibrations, basically. But then you let the words be something about how you're seen and loved and celebrated, or how you're safe and secure and everything's okay, or how you're supported and connected and you just want to be vulnerably close to your inner child. You pick an attachment need, you create words based on that, and you apply that with the rhythm and the melody of this song that was known a long time ago. And the adult self sings it to the inner child through a mirror meditation, or holding the self and having some kind of physically intimate cuddle session the way a parent would with a child, because you're repairing this role within the neurobiological social engagement. The parent-child bonding is what you're focusing on here as you work with attachment development through application of subconscious language. And using this, you're connecting these different regions of neural wiring in a way that addresses attachment needs. And it produces profound healing journey effects within the unconscious body-mind, because you're applying the power of consciousness, working directly with the neural wiring residing beneath these unique experiences. So let's just play with an example, okay? So Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Let's say that song was known when you were a little kid. The song goes, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. You take the melody of that, but you change the words. Inner child, I love you. Loving you, there's nothing I'd rather do. Up above you shine so bright. You're everything in my day and night. I love you, my inner child. I just want to see you smile. Just as one of infinite examples, the goal is to take a song that you knew a long time ago, use the melody and the rhythm with new words to address attachment needs, sing it from the adult self to the inner child to repair that attachment development. And then the adult self is giving love. The child self is receiving love. It's all happening in the same brain-body system, but with different aspects of self-essence. And this is the most powerful way to create healing from within. These thesis statement insights stem from intimate, expensive, personal experience. I experienced about a dozen age-regressive states of consciousness, ranging from 6 months old to 16 years old. And I gradually cultivated this program for myself that I called Raising Mosaics. And it was this process to repair attachment development from my adult self to different states of consciousness, experiencing unique styles of age regression. And through gradual application of dozens of different practices, I was able to help liberate my beautiful inner child into the fullness of all that she can be, so she can be her true self. Because who we really are is not an aspect of self that experiences separation. And every part of us just wants connection. But the connection that we're really looking for comes from inside of us. Neural wiring might stimulate messages where we seek connection outside of us. But the truth is, our neural wiring and our consciousness just wants to have internal connection. Different aspects of us, whether it's an adult self or a child state of consciousness or any other unique aspect of self-essence experiencing a distinct region of neural wiring, they really just want to have loving presence within the self. At the end of the day, that's all consciousness and neural wiring desires, is loving presence. Different aspects of who we are just want to be connected from within. When we focus on repairing disrupted attachment development, we can create that inner connection so that all parts of self-essence can be liberated into their true potential and experience a greater fullness of self and life than what was ever imagined possible before. Age-regressive states of consciousness, or child parts of consciousness fully manifested in physical form, are the most astounding, precious, angelic, miraculous components of the human experience existing on the entire planet. Infinite, astounding, inspiring miracles exist within age-regressive states of consciousness. These child parts of consciousness should absolutely be treasured and celebrated and respected and uplifted into the fullness of all they can be, treasured and savored and cherished for the magic that they are. It is beautiful to be a child, no matter if it's a child in an adult's body or a child in a child's body. The fact of existing as a child is beautiful and is unconditionally worthy of loving celebration. Age-regressive states of consciousness are an inspiring miracle that should be embraced unconditionally with love across the planet. While we embrace these age-regressive states of consciousness, we can help empower these parts of self-essence to be all that they can be by healing the underlying causalities of unique experiences, which involves the gradual process of completing early stages of neurodevelopment by healing attachment systems and associated regions of neural wiring carrying memory data, integrative patterns, and regulatory protocols. In conclusion, my 9th thesis statement is that healing chronic age regression requires the gradual process of completing early stages of neurodevelopment through loving presence.